Hello, everybody. Um, Welcome to part two of the video about whether churches work, what churches are working or not, and which ones haven't been. So, just wanted to continue this talk, and going to continue through the rest of some of the things I've experienced. So, in the last video, I sort of just talked about churches I've experienced over my lifetime and whether they were things were really working the way they should, and when they didn't, and the times when they didn't. So I'm continuing that discussion here. Today I'm more talking about things that are a little more recent, more like the last few years, and here in Murfreesboro, and it's just kind of giving an account on how that's been going and where it's going right now. So when we moved here, there is one church we did. So the first church we did officially visit was the Bel Air Baptist Church, and we didn't immediately settle on that place. Eventually we did. We moved on. Before, as we were moving around, looking around, we went to one place called Life Lift Church. This place was a smaller church. Pastor was very friendly. His wife was very friendly. Some of the other people there were very, very friendly too. It had some good things about it. A little more open about helping people who can help do whatever. I did help them put up a sign and cement it down with another group of people, and that was fun. I'm glad I could be of help in some way. This church possibly could have worked if we kept going. I was a little bit just sort of just feeling it out and figuring out where I really if we were really called here or if we are not. I mean, I was sort of just trying to figure that out, and and I don't know. My wife sort of just expressed interest in going to Bel Air because around that time she had started taking citizenship classes there to about becoming a citizen, and she got to know. We both got to know some of the people there, some of the people in that circle, and we really enjoyed them. They were very caring and very friendly, and so that was good. It was very good, and so she kind of had some interest in going. So that's what we did. So eventually, when we moved over to Bel Air Baptist Church, there were the majority of the people there are much older. It looks like there are other people other ages, but there's a large number of people who are just older crowd. But there are, but I guess I wouldn't say the vast majority. There are the kids and the college age and the high school age. Those are all there. So the older group is very friendly. It's a very traditional church from what we've seen. Overall, so like I said, older people are very friendly. We did kind of go to, for a short time, we did go to the 30s and 40s group, which is the 30s and 40s married. They were not that great. So there were some instances where they were somewhat friendly, but I don't know what to say. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it. Well, yeah, I don't know what to say. Not sure what the deal is. I just sort of, for me, it seemed like I had to get away. Um, there was, I guess, there was, well, one, I wasn't that into just sitting around and talking and eating food. I was sort of more interested in just praying and getting into God's Word, and that was just more my thing. Yeah, I was uncomfortable with the 30s and 40s for various reasons, but one was just that they were not really studying God's Word very much, and I wasn't really just like, they were just more like just hanging out and just eating food. I don't know. I did kind of settle on this men's group, and there were some older people there, and I just and they were studying God's Word, and they would pray, and they were definitely helpful with me just praying through a lot of things with the well, what do you call it? They were very helpful praying through some of the work issues that I was having. So that was definitely a good big deal. I don't think I would have been able to share all of that in the 30s and 40s, because it was just a very particular type of warfare that I seem to have been dealing with, that just, I don't think it would have really made sense to them. In fact, I did kind of have this dream one time about some of the things about things going on there, which I don't know if I really should have. Well, at work, I mean, some things that were going on at work. I tried to just try to bring up the topic with the opening with the dream with the pastor at Life Lift, and it seemed to kind of didn't seem to connect with him with anything. So, but seemed like the person teaching this class, Bel Air, absolutely seemed to recognize what was happening. And it was in the him, and didn't never mention the dream to him, but it seemed like he separately seemed to perceive that something was going on, and was ready to pray for it. And my dreams seemed to kind of suggest some spiritual warfare that I was dealing with, but so it was kind of a big confirmation that was what was happening. So that was a pretty good thing. That was pretty good that he was able to pray for that. So we've been going with that. There were as I was going through, can't say will ever know what God's plans are right now, or what He really intended for it to happen there. But I do know that over time I was getting a little bit worn, getting a little bit rubbed the wrong way with the way the 30s and 40s group kind of responded to us. It seemed like they were kind of just, me and Emily were sort of just on the outside of everything that they were doing. I mean, of course, we're not in their class, but it's just like, I mean, hey, we're there. And I felt like this was sort of, when they started having Wednesday night whatever the thing they're doing this year. They had these Bible discussions on Wednesday night, and the funny thing is, that group, they just hang out at their table. They just congregate over there. Sometimes I would sit over there, and it was a little bit okay. And just kind of get perturbed that I somehow I'm there in that same place, but I'm just sort of left outside of everything. And I don't know what the solution to that is. But just didn't feel that great. Which is why I kind of just went to the next church, which was One Church, which really is more like I'm just exploring this, I think, still. Just so there's the group I found on Wednesday night, which is pretty good, and Sunday was pretty good too, but I'm just sort of praying about what to do with that. I don't know what God will want from me. Those are things I need to figure out. I know Chuck, which at the men's group at Bel Air, he would always say that he was dealing with some frustrating things as well, and he sort of just said, sometimes he did kind of suggest, like sometimes you're sort of just, God just puts you in these places to endure these trials like that, and that could be. But anyway, so I was just kind of looking at some Bible verses, and there's this one passage in Timothy, books of Timothy, that talks about, just really sort of encourages Timothy, who was really ministering, it looks like in Ephesus, the church of Ephesus, and a lot of what he says to him is just to be faithful and endure whatever trials are coming. Well, I'll just read it here. 1 Timothy 1:3. Paul told him, just as I urged you when I went to Macedonia, remain in Ephesus, that you may charge some that they teach no other doctrine. So we have one thing here. It's just like just sort of saying that for whatever purpose that there was, Paul was urging him to stay where he was, whatever it may be. And let's see, 1:18. This charge I commit to you, son Timothy, according to the prophecies previously made concerning you, that by them you may wage the good warfare, having faith and good conscience, which some, having rejected concerning the faith, have suffered shipwreck among. And so sometimes I can't say where the Lord's leading me right now, and but I hope by the end of this I can make it more clear. My hope is that through these videos, people can know what the reasoning, how to find your place in wherever you are, what church you are. A lot of that has to do with seeking God's will, and not being concerned with whatever the worldly concerns are, whether it's friends, money, material possessions. A lot of what I'm kind of experiencing right now is I am kind of being tested as far as my friendships, which has really just been something I've been tested with for most of my majority of my life, but most especially since I moved from Memphis down here. That's where I've kind of been tested. There have been some good people I've met along the way since then, But there are a lot of places where I'm just sort of, things are falling short. And so I don't know what the takeaway is with this, since I'm almost about to say that I'm just officially, if I am to focus on the Lord, then I guess I have to just say I've give up entirely on friends and say screw it. There's just no point. Then maybe just that's almost about what I can think of as far as where the Lord's leading me. But I don't know. I hope by the end of this I can give a better answer. A lot of what the book of Timothy talks about is just someone who's being encouraged by the Apostle Paul to really stay where he is, and engage in warfare, and just engage and encourage and just do whatever engage in the good fight, and just whatever situation he's in at the place he has him, which is in that case was ministering for that church, the church in Ephesus. And sometimes you could be called to just engage in warfare wherever you are. It's a spiritual war, and there's a lot of spiritual things that are happening around you, and you have to engage in those things, whether it's doctrines or literal demons, I don't know. And we're just praying for others. Whatever, I think my best advice would be to seek the Lord in everything you do. And there's also things in Timothy that says that Paul states, a good soldier does not concern himself with the affairs of civilians, you could say. So really that would be like, if you are a Christian, you have the mission, Christ's mission. You are charged with that, to reach the gospel in whatever way you preach the gospel in whatever way you can, whether it's through whatever prayer or whatever, or preaching, encouraging, helping others, giving to the poor, whatever. You don't concern yourselves with all these things like your house, your money, and all that stuff. You're going to live with those. Those are going to exist amongst you. But I mean, when it's about God's mission, that's not the thing to care for. That is something that's something that comes second. If you are coming to a place where you are becoming overly concerned with things and what the church you're dealing with, you step back and look at what God has brought you there to do, and just pray about what that is right now. And God, what is that thing that you want me to do here and now? Everything may be crap here. You may be miserable there. You may be at the point of going nuts for whatever it is, or you just pray about what it is God will have you do right then and there for that day, for that time that you're there. Figure it out. It could be God just has you there just to do something else. Maybe if you could be called to just, maybe you're autistic and you're just not going to have friends and you're just called to that. I don't know. I sure hope not, but let's hope. I don't think everyone needs friends, but I mean, everyone needs people in their lives. I don't think that's really the case for a lot of you, but that's all I got to say. Just seek the Lord. That's about all I can say about that. And I hope I can have a better outlook on what God has done by the end of this, and hopefully I can talk about it soon. But other than that, I think that's the end of this video, and I want to thank you all for watching, and hope I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye.